Good evening from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Friday, the 6th of February 2015. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. The National Assembly Speaker says the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union award is not intended to honor him alone, but the whole of the Kuwaiti Parliament. The First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister heads Kuwait's delegation to the three-day 51st Munich Security Conference. Jordan launches an intense air attack on the so-called Islamic State targets in Syria in response to the killing of a Jordanian pilot. Egyptian military airstrikes killed 27 militants in northern Sinai Peninsula in one of the biggest security operations in the region. Hello and welcome. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the Governor General of New Zealand, Jeremiah Matepare, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the Governor General of New Zealand, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. The National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem expressed gratitude over the Parliamentary Excellence Award he had been granted by the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union in recognition of his efforts in serving the Arab causes, and noting that the prize is intended to honor all members of the Kuwaiti Parliament and not solely himself. Speaker Al-Ghanem also voiced appreciation over the honoring bestowed upon him by His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, and His Highness the Crown Prince, Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah. Al-Ghanem said in a statement that the award honors the effective and vital role of the Kuwaiti Parliament in serving the just Arab causes for more than 50 years. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah chairs the State of Kuwait's delegation to the 51st Munich Security Conference, which kicked off today in Munich. Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid arrived in Munich last night to participate in the three-day conference and was received by Kuwait's ambassador to Germany, Mundir Badr Al-Isa, Kuwait's Consul General in Frankfurt, Asad Abdul Aziz Al-Bahar, and members of the Kuwaiti Embassy. Meanwhile, Kuwait's ambassador to Germany hosted a dinner banquet in honor of Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid and his accompanying delegation. The banquet was attended by Director of the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister, Ambassador Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Nasser Al Muhammad Al Sabah, and Kuwait's Consul General in Frankfurt, Asad Abdulaziz Al-Bahar, Deputy Director of the Follow-Up and Coordination Department, Advisor Hassan Mohammed Zaman, members of the Kuwaiti Embassy in Berlin, and the delegation accompanying Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah met today with the Foreign Minister of Luxembourg, Jean Asselborn, on the sidelines of the 51st Munich Security Conference. During the meeting, they discussed bilateral relations and means of boosting them in all domains, in addition to issues of common concern and the latest international developments. The gathering was attended by Director of the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister, Ambassador Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Nasser Al Muhammad Al Sabah, and Kuwait's Ambassador to Germany, Mundir Badr Al Isa. The Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior, Sheikh Mohammed Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, sent a written invitation to the Emiri Diwan to ask members of the ruling family to hand in any unlicensed firearms or ammunition in their possession to the unlicensed firearms centers, which will be opened soon in all Kuwait's governorates. In his request, the minister urged the ruling family members to be a role model for all people in abiding by the unlicensed firearms and ammunition collection law, which was passed by the parliament on the January of 28th. The Interior Ministry's Security Media Department said in a press statement that this invitation comes within the framework of the ministry's preparation to enforce the new law on everyone without exception and in full transparency. It noted that the law provides a 4-month term for people to hand in their unlicensed firearms and ammunition in order to be exempted from punishment. The 5th session for the joint Kuwaiti-British steering group led by the Foreign Ministry Under-Secretary Ambassador Khalid Al-Jarallah and on the UK side by British Minister of State for the Middle East, His Excellency Tobias Ellwood, took place yesterday. The two sides agreed on various issues of concerns, among them to continue cooperation in various fields such as political, trade, investment, security and defense, health, educational and cultural aspects. Meanwhile, Al-Jarallah stressed on the need for the cohesion of the international coalition forces led by the United States and to continue its role in the face of the Organization of the Islamic State. Here's more on the issue in this report by Salim Al-Kandari.
The 5th session for the joint Kuwaiti-British steering group took place, led by the Foreign Ministry Under-Secretary Ambassador Khalid Al-Jarallah and the UK side by the British Minister of State for the Middle East, His Excellency Tobias Ellwood. Al-Jarallah stressed the need for the cohesion of the international coalition forces led by the United States and to continue its role in the face of the organization, the so-called the Islamic State, Daesh. Meanwhile, British Minister of State for the Middle East, His Excellency Tobias Ellwood, agreed likewise with the Kuwaiti side to continue cooperation against all terrorist acts and expressed his happiness to hold the meeting of the 5th session of the group.
Well, could I say thank you very much indeed to His Excellency and the entire team from Kuwait for hosting the British delegation today. It's been a real pleasure to be in Kuwait. We've spent the last couple of days discussing a whole range of sectors as to how we can strengthen the bilateral relationship. So we've had some frank discussions, some very positive discussions, and we've just had signing documents as well. So this shows the strength of the relationship between our two countries, and we will continue the discussions in London in the autumn.
The committee meets twice a year, meeting in Britain and the other in Kuwait with the participation of officials and the level of the ministries, where they are reviewing what has been agreed upon during the 6 months to develop an action plan for the next 6 months. The two sides agreed on various issues of concerns, among them to continue cooperation in various fields such as political, trade, investment, security and defense, health, educational and cultural aspects. This is the 5th Kuwait-UK Joint Steering Group meeting. Various issues were discussed such as the cooperation in trade, investment, education, immigration, security, health and scientific research. From the JW Marriott, this is Salim Kandari reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Salim. In Syria, state media and observers said that heavy fighting in and around the capital, Damascus, has killed at least 60 people and wounded many more. The Syrian army helicopters dropped 2-barrel bombs on a crowded square in the northern city of Aleppo, killing at least 25 civilians. Meanwhile, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said at least 35 people were killed in nearly 40 air raids in Damascus province, while at least 5 others were also killed in a series of rebel mortar attacks on the capital. The overnight attacks by government forces came hours after rebels bombarded the capital, Damascus, killing at least 9 people. Dozens of Jordanian fighter jets bombed targets of the so-called Islamic State group, including training centers and weapons storage sites, pledging to keep up the attacks until the militants are defeated. The armed forces said in a statement on state television that the air mission named Mu'adh the Martyr is just the beginning of more attacks. Meanwhile, Jordanian Foreign Minister Nasser Jouda stressed that the airstrikes marked the beginning of his nation's retaliation over the killing of a captive Jordanian fighter pilot, Mu'adh al-Kasasbah, by the IS militants, but not the start of its fight against terrorism. Meanwhile, Her Majesty Queen Rania joined thousands of people who turned out in the capital Amman to express their solidarity with the murdered pilot. U.S. President Barack Obama condemned those who seek to use religion as a rationale for carrying out violence around the world. Obama signaled out the so-called Islamic State group in Iraq and Syria, calling the militants a death cult, as well as those responsible for last month's attacks in Paris and deadly assaults on a school in Pakistan.
We also see faith being twisted and distorted, used as a wedge, or worse, sometimes used as a weapon. From a school in Pakistan to the streets of Paris, we have seen violence and terror perpetrated by those who profess to stand up for faith, their faith. Profess to stand up for Islam, but in fact are betraying it. We see ISIL, a brutal, vicious death cult that, in the name of religion, carries out unspeakable acts of barbarism, terrorizing religious minorities like the Yazidis, subjecting women to rape as a weapon of war, and claiming the mantle of religious authority for such actions.
In Egypt, Egyptian military airstrikes killed 27 militants in northern Sinai today in one of the biggest security operations in the region. Security sources said that Apache helicopters targeted the militants, who are a group that pledged allegiance to the so-called Islamic State fighting in Iraq and Syria. The strikes came a day after a member of Egypt's security forces was killed and another injured in a drive-by shooting in the peninsula. Eyewitnesses said that unknown assailants in a car opened fire at the men as they stood guard outside a hotel in the provincial capital of Al Arish, where tens of people, including civilians, were killed last week. The UN Security Council urged Nigeria's neighbors to step up military cooperation in the battle to defeat Boko Haram. The 15-member council issued the appeal as a meeting got underway in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé, to agree on a combat strategy for a regional force against the militants. At the three-day meeting, regional experts were to draw up an operations plan that could then be presented to the Security Council for approval. UN officials said the African countries may then be asked to contribute funding for the military operations against Boko Haram, but they would seek assurances that defiances over the campaign are resolved. Chad, as is Nigeria, is taking a leading role in the force and has already sent troops across the border to drive out Boko Haram from the town of Gamburu, while Niger is also set to send troops to Nigeria. Germany beefed up security in the capital Munich today, where top world leaders, diplomats and defense officials are converging for a security conference that comes amid a frantic diplomatic push to end the violence in eastern Ukraine. About 3,600 police have been deployed to protect the three-day meeting of some 400 officials that ends on Sunday. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was already in Munich following talks in Kiev the day before and was planning on meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif ahead of the opening of the conference. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel plans to be in the city by tomorrow following talks in Moscow with Russian President Vladimir Putin and French President François Hollande. Merkel said that she and President Hollande will put forward European interests in a bid to stop the bloodshed in eastern Ukraine and safeguard national self-determination, which is part of the European order. The residents of the beleaguered Ukrainian city of Donetsk were doubtful that upcoming talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the leaders of France and Germany would do much to end the fighting in eastern Ukraine. Clashes between the Russia-backed separatist rebels and government forces continued to rumble through the city today, while several places were hit overnight with no casualties reported. Meanwhile, convoys of buses converged from two sides on the town of Debaltseve after the rebels and government forces appeared to have patched together a truce to allow civilians to be evacuated. The rebels said the temporary truce came into force this morning. However, the Kiev military did not confirm any formal truce agreement. The hostilities between the rebels and Ukrainian forces have intensified sharply over the past 2 weeks, bringing the total number of casualties since the conflict started last April to over 5,300. China today voiced strong opposition to any country allowing a visit by the Dalai Lama and interfering in China's internal affairs. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hong Li told a press briefing that his country opposed any country giving visit permit to the Dalai Lama, a political exile who has long been engaged in anti-China and secessionist activities under the pretext of religion. The remarks came after U.S. President Barack Obama welcomed the Dalai Lama at a prayer meeting in Washington, but according to reports, the president did not meet him directly. Chinese state media also admonished President Obama for hosting the Dalai Lama and called him a good friend, claiming that receiving the Tibetan spiritual leader severely harms the mutual trust between China and the United States. A fire at the southern China wholesale market has killed more than 17 people and injured about 4 firefighters. According to a statement issued today by the Communist Party's propaganda department in Huidong County, the fire broke out yesterday afternoon on the 4th floor of the market in southern Guangdong province and was controlled by the night. The statement said that 5 people were rescued from the building, as rescuers had been searching throughout the night for people trapped there. The propaganda department said the cause of the fire was still under investigation. The black box data from the TransAsia Airlines plane that crashed in Taiwan last Wednesday has revealed that power was cut to both engines. According to Taiwan's Aviation Safety Council, the engines failed to produce enough thrust for 2 minutes after takeoff, adding that the data suggests the flight crew tried to stop and restart one of the engines without success. Meanwhile, investigators said the plane ran into trouble just 37 seconds after taking off from Taipei's Songshan Airport. The flight carried 58 passengers and crew. At least 35 died when the plane crashed into a river, while 15 people survived the crash. The Colima volcano in western Mexico spewed large plumes of ash and gas into the sky, the latest in a series of spectacular eruptions in recent weeks. Local residents fear that Colima's recent rise in activity will increase cases of lung diseases caused by breathing in volcanic ash. Meanwhile, authorities are maintaining a yellow alert for the area, meaning that the volcano is showing activity and that residents should be ready for a possible evacuation. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here's a quick reminder of today's headlines. The National Assembly Speaker says the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union Award is not intended to honor him alone, but the whole of the Kuwaiti Parliament. The First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister heads Kuwait's delegation to the three-day 51st Munich Security Conference. Jordan launches an intense airstrike on the so-called Islamic State targets in Syria in response to the killing of a Jordanian pilot. Egyptian military airstrikes killed 27 militants in northern Sinai Peninsula in one of the biggest security operations in the region.